What's going on, guys? Hey, this is Steve. I'm having technical difficulty today, so this will be more like Clubhouse, where I'm just talking to my screen. All right, so sorry running behind. We should be live on Facebook, I believe, and I'm going to keep us to 30-ish minutes today or so, and definitely want to cover this topic because I think it's one near and dear to many entrepreneurs' hearts. I'll do a little housekeeping before I get into that, though. But I think today's topic, we're going to actually turn into something a little bit bigger, but we're going to cover shiny object syndrome, distractions, and learning to say no. And I think one of the things that happens in some of these trainings is that we get so in depth. I do, with so many things, and there's so much information that I'm going to try to make this a pretty hard hitting couple super legit tactics you guys can use and a little bit of perspective maybe as well. And from there, I hope it's something that's really implementable. And then of course I'll make time for Q&A if we can. And then if anybody needs it, and we'll kind of go from there. So if you guys are new to this, catching the replay on Facebook through the Facebook group, or logged in today and you're new, I'm Steve Richards, and we started the CEO Nation. I'm the founder of this tribe, and literally the only reason we exist is to impact entrepreneurs' lives, to help hustlers, self-employed people, or business owners who are being owned by their jobs or their business instead of them owning their business, trying to help that brethren transform into CEOs of businesses. And so most people think they own a business, really just own a job. And one of the big problems is you set out to have a lot of time and money freedom. And what ends up happening is the business or the job that you own really starts to steal all that from you. And so that very freedom that you wanted seems to be within reach. And many times you feel like, if I can just get one more new hire, if I can just get a few more deals done, I can just get a little bit more, I can get a little further. And a lot of us just reinvest in our business, and that's just a way of saying that we're not profitable, and or we don't know how to hire the right teams. And so, we build these businesses, and sometimes in spite of us, we're able to grow them, but it's not very often we're able to scale them. And when we grow them, we typically just get busier and busier. And so, we're going to talk today about distraction, saying no, and trying to stay focused from being nabbed by the shiny object syndrome. But first, let me tell you guys, if you aren't already subscribed to our podcast, go onto iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you consume podcasts. Check out the CEO Nation on Facebook. There's a group, you can just search for the CEO Nation, and you'll find both of those places. You'll find access to what I'm talking about, as well as you can head up to ceonation.com. If you haven't downloaded our KPI guide, it's kind of where the whole thing starts. It's the beginning of converting a job into a business, is starting to be able to define and document the game and understand your numbers and basically turn your business into a math equation. And I think we're going to post that here if we have not yet. Let me check. So, hey, Bobby, when you get a chance, drop a post if you can for the ceonation.com/links. So if you guys go to the ceonation.com/links, you'll actually land on a page that has access to several different things. And that's a great place to go to get access to different ways you can work with us and connect with us. But most importantly, there's a link to set up a strategy call with us if you're interested in working with us in any way, whether that's coaching, our events, or to work with our team architects company if you're trying to hire people. So this today is all about training, but I just want to make sure you guys know that's out there if you want to try to connect. And if we're not connected on Clubhouse and you're not on Clubhouse, hopefully you're on Facebook. Send me a DM. You got to be on an iPhone, but I've got some invites for Clubhouse, and we've been spending quite a bit of time on there, and I'd love to connect with you guys there if you have an iPhone and you're not yet on that app. So I think with that, I'm gonna get into the topic, and I think I want you guys to just be asking any questions you have along the way. I want this to be interactive. And, one of the biggest epiphanies I had a few years ago was I think shiny object syndrome is a term people use for, distractions that come along that look pretty and sexy and interesting and inviting, and they steal our attention, and it takes our attention away from our core thing. And then it spreads us too thin, or we don't focus on our core thing and our core thing goes down. And maybe we only flirt around with that shiny object, and then we don't ever really spend time to get focused there either. And kind of what ends up happening is we lose traction in the very, business where we had the most momentum, and we don't stick with things long enough to gain traction in the new area. And so it's kind of a net loss all the way around. But the reality is, if we didn't attune to our, quote, shiny object syndrome, at some point in time, we wouldn't have started the businesses we have. We wouldn't have got into the investing we're in, or, we wouldn't be in the spot we're in. So there is a good side to this. And, the biggest distractions in our lives as entrepreneurs are going to come as opportunities. And that's not because they, are just a distraction in general. These things that come along, they're just a distraction for us at some point in time. And so if we can understand that most of the things that come along are opportunities, and we have to realize where we really are and what we have time to do and what we're focusing on, then what we can come to the conclusion is that these aren't bad things that come along. They're just not right for us at certain times. And so, a new marketing campaign, or a different employee, or a different kind of business, or a spin-off of our current business, these things could be good for us at the right time, given the right system in place to process those. And for me, as a visionary entrepreneur, one of the best things I ever did was put people in my life that helped me stay focused with what we're trying to do. And I've gained enough traction that now I've learned that, what it takes to run a core business. And I don't get overzealous with what I think I can and can't do with my time. And so I've started to say no a lot more often, which is another thing that we wanted to talk about today. And the reality is, the most important stuff in our lives is not what we say yes to, it's what we say no to. So I'm going to say that again. The most important things in our lives are the things we say no to, not the things we say yes to. And so no might just mean no for now. It doesn't mean no forever. But when you say yes to something, that means yes. And the more things you say yes to in any given moment, when you're saying yes to one thing, you're now saying no to everything else for the most part. And that's a big thing for a lot of people to understand. So when you say yes to something, you're saying no basically to everything else at that point in time. And so if you say yes to too many things, you overcommit. And it's not even just about your time. Sometimes it's about your attention. And sometimes it's about your mental capacity. And so we just don't have enough mental juice to be excited about too many things all at one time. Now, one of the ways that I've been able to operate multiple businesses is that my brain is many of the things that I'm doing in different businesses is very overlapping. Let me say that a better way. So no matter which business I'm in, there's key functions that I spend my time doing. And so to me, it's less about bouncing from one thing to another and they're distracting from each other. The reality is, when I'm focused on team building, strategy, marketing, sales, management, things that I may be doing in the different businesses, I'm actually honing my craft, learning and mastering different things that are applicable in my other businesses. And it's because I've elevated the work on my business, not just in it, that I'm no longer distracting myself away from doing revenue generating activities. So the things that I do in the businesses, and you guys can get to this place too, even if you don't want to have multiple businesses, when you can get to the point where you spend the majority of your time working on the business and there's people in your business that are handling the revenue generating activities, the RGAs, when you have a team that's working on those things, you start to have a lot more time freedom. And so you guys have heard me talk a lot about who, how, when to hire. And I told you KPIs is the beginning to all that. So there's a lot of components that we're not going to get into today that will help you guys. But just know that that's one of the rewards of building having enough focus for long enough to really master a revenue model so that you can build systems and processes and best practices and SOPs and document those things and then break them down into KPIs and then use those KPIs to develop roles within a team to manage the business and run it. And then you roll that back up to job descriptions, and then you utilize, appropriate hiring techniques to go find people to fill those positions. You hire them, and then you onboard them, train them, compensate and manage them correctly. And you can put all that together. That is the formula of getting to the place where you can elevate to work on your business. And so now a lot of things that come up won't distract you from the revenue generating activities. And that's one of the biggest problems in your business, is that when the revenue generating activities are on your back, most things that come along that, will quote unquote distract you from that are going to be a problem. And so when you say yes to anything that causes you to say no to some revenue generating activities, you're hurting your business. But if you can plan enough time to work on the RGAs that you need to, or have a team that does it for you, either way, it's taken care of whenever it's taken care of, even if it's you. But if you can block certain time to get into creative strategic thinking, maybe it's an hour a week, you start with that, and that's it on Sundays. And later it's an hour a day. And then later it's all but 1 hour in a day, or whatever the case may be. You can get to a place where during that scheduled time, you should feel, unselfishly feel like you can kind of let yourself go and think and dream. And then here's what's cool about shiny objects. When they come in, the other key component is not only to make sure that you have the time to deal with it, so you're not, not wasting time thinking about things, but you need a process to put the shiny object through. And so to me, now that I have a process that I pass a shiny object through, some of the excitement about, the different shiny objects kind of goes away, because I know there's some labor involved, or else I won't make a decision any longer about, trying something new, or, starting something new, or changing something up without using my process. And so because of that, some of that, like, I guess I'd call it like an initial dopamine hit, where it's fun to go do something new. It's actually more fun to do that than it is to stick through the old, stuff you're working on now, and you'd rather not work on because it's getting hard and it's not working the way you wanted to. And so you're like, hey, let me do something new. And you trick yourself into like, oh, I'm going to do this new kind of spin-off that's going to help me. And that's going to make up for the fact that this other thing isn't working quite like I wanted it to, or it's harder than I wanted it to be. When the reality is you need to double down and work on figuring out why things aren't working or why they're harder than you thought. Get that figured out, and then bring a team in to take it over. And then you can have the time to go process, these other opportunities. And when you're processing, you need to understand, where am I headed personally? So this is another key point for today. And I know it's a little hard since I'm just jumping on through my phone, but shiny objects, first I said, when you have a process to deal with them, they become less shiny, so they're not as distracting. Because when you see something, you're like, oh, it's kind of cool, I'll put it on the sidebar and I'll get to it when I can shove it through my process. Just the fact that you dealt with it kind of makes you feel like you took care of something. And then when you get back to it, here's the first thing that I start with is, does this thing get me closer to my personal goals? Which is, my personal goals are outside of anything with any one particular business. I know personally what I want to do and why I'm doing anything I'm doing. And so when I look, the very first filter that I process an opportunity through is, will this get me closer to my personal goals? immediately, or will it get me there faster? Will it get me there better? Will it get me past that point? Will it make my life easier? I'm asking myself what the personal benefit of this opportunity is. Sometimes it's to feel good about, doing something that someone I like asked me to do, which isn't always the right reason to do things, but it doesn't really matter. My point is, it's not all just about money. It's how does this thing fulfill me personally, and how does it fit in with where I'm headed? What I found is about 80+% of opportunities that come along die at the vine right there. Actually, a big chunk of them, a quarter or a third of them, never even make it to this point, because when I set them aside, because now I have this thing where I'm like, oh, shiny object. It's really not that shiny. It's not blinding me. That's interestingly enough for me to put into my stack of things to get to. And then I'm kind of satisfied because I dealt with it. I don't even get back to maybe a quarter or a third of those things. Another half of, 50% of things. So now I'm getting close to this, 75, 80+% mark. Don't make it past that very first gut check. And so, the 20% that are hanging out there, the next question I ask is, so I know that it'll give me something personally that I want, or get me there faster or whatever. The second thing I ask is, will this derail anything that I'm doing in my current business or businesses that are affiliated or would be affiliated with this? And if it's a whole new business opportunity, I just say any of the other businesses I'm doing. Because of this, there's employees and business partners and other people involved in all those plans. So even if some new opportunity can give me something I want personally, I'm not going to do that if it's also going to hurt one of my other businesses, which I've made a commitment to other people. And so many of us are going to knock out almost every single opportunity by just running it through those first two questions. How does this personally benefit me given my personal goals and objectives? And then secondly, will this take away or distract from any of my current business or businesses? And so most everything falls out by that point. Now, here's what's cool. Once it's filtered through those 2 points, if there is something that will benefit me personally, and then it won't distract from my current business opportunities, the next couple of questions I ask are along the lines of, what is the opportunity here financially, and what is the opportunity here to create an impact and provide value? Really kind of in flip-flop order. And then I also ask myself, what do I already know about this? And so what I end up kind of doing is a mini SWAT. What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats? But I don't ever process an opportunity at the SWAT level unless it makes it past those first couple barriers. So let me see if I got any questions popping in yet. Thanks, Bobby, for putting the link out. Let me know, guys, if you got any, if any thoughts, questions, if I'm hitting you between the eyes like a sermon today. I think that distractions, like I said, come in the form of a lot of different things. And many of them are opportunities. Many times they're right in the middle of our core business too. So they're kind of hard to define as separate distractions. It might be, look, I'm trying to hire a sales guy, but a really great project manager comes along. And I tell myself, well, if the other sales guy I'm going to hire or gal is going to do a good job, I'll have more projects, and I'm going to have a project manager anyway. And so you may divert from your plan to hire somebody different. I would venture to say that you need to utilize a pretty strong process to make sure that's not going to sink the ship, right? That's not going to be that it's going to take you closer to your personal goals, and it's not going to distract from anything in your core business. Because if the next thing you need to do is train a person for sales, and you train somebody for project management, or administration or operations, whatever that case may be, you could be delaying getting the salesperson in, because every minute not spent finding that person and training and up, getting them up and running is going to be causing an issue. And so even within our current business, we don't have this down perfect. We still struggle with this, but because of the processes we have to deal with opportunities and see them for what they really are, and have a way to pass them through a set of criteria to decide if we want to spend time on them, we become a lot more effective than most people. And here's the best part: have an integrator partner. If you don't have someone in your business who could be a really good admin, could be an operations manager, could be a COO level partner like I have, but having someone in my life that helps me really think through the actual rollout of operations behind my ideas has protected me in the past and continues to do so going forward. But it also has taught me to think differently about things, because I don't even want to present something to Brian, who is my core business partner. And I have other integrator partners in different businesses. But for Brian, everything we do, we bring in-house and discuss first, and we go in as a partnership into our partnership in that other business, if that makes sense to you guys. And so because I've learned how he thinks, I don't even come to him with an idea without having, again, thought through, how does this affect our current business? What is this personally going to do for us? What are the strengths of this idea? What are the weaknesses? What opportunities would taking it, running with this idea or business have? What kind of threats would there be? And because I've passed it through all that, and then I bring it to an integrator partner, now we can more methodically and quickly, without wasting a lot of time, without wasting days, weeks, months, sometimes in minutes or hours, we can vet out a complete opportunity, or decide not to take advantage of an opportunity where someone else might spend days thinking about it and then get on a call and then a week later do something. And in the back of their mind, even though they're still working on their core stuff, they have these ideas. And I bet you guys, if you think about this, you have these right now, you have these other opportunities or shiny objects that you haven't vetted all the way out. And they're just using up little bits of your brain capacity, even sometimes subconsciously. And that just means that you're not operating at 110% on your core business. And so I want to go back to something I said a minute ago, is that one of the best things that you can learn is that whenever you say yes to something, you're saying no to everything else in that moment. And that's really important. And when you say no to something, that also opens up the opportunity to say yes to something else. And by the way, no isn't no forever most of the time. It's no for now. And if something's real exciting and shiny and you say no to it for now, and it really is a good opportunity, many times other forces will start acting to kind of bring that back around. And very rarely does an opportunity come and go, kind of overnight. And if you don't act on it right away, it's gone. That was like a really great opportunity for you. Now, I don't believe in opportunity knocking on your door and hanging out for, weeks and not paying attention to it and expecting it, take it for granted and expect it to be there 6 months from now. But if you ever feel under pressure to take advantage, like buy a training course because you want to learn something new, or pay a vendor for some special promotion that they're running with their marketing, or hire someone who you're afraid is going to take a job, and they said they got to know by the morning because they have this other job they got to get back to. Whenever your back is against the wall like that, if you've tried to use some filters like I've talked about and you can't get a clear, concise answer that you should say yes, you probably won't be very hurt, if at all, and more likely better off if you just say no to that opportunity. Because many times when we think something is kind of like this is one time only, and we say no to it, it comes back around, or something better comes around. And so again, when you say no to something, it's not no forever. It's just no for now. And that opens up your possibilities to say yes to other things. All right, let me see if you guys have some questions, pop them in there. Like I said, I was going to keep today a little shorter, and I know we don't have video, so you don't get to see my, cool face talking while I'm talking here. But let's see if anybody's got any, follow-up questions, or if anybody has any shiny object, scenarios they want to share. Let me know. Let me try to check on Facebook. I think I can actually do that a little better now. Maybe not. Hopefully I don't mess up my hitting this through my phone, like some crazy feedback or something. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard that. I got some wild um all right, sorry, I had to stop my Facebook. I was hearing two different things in my ears. All right. So I hope that helps, guys. At the end of the day, one of the very first things I said was shiny object syndrome isn't a bad thing. I guess shiny object syndrome itself, the way people have coined it, is maybe the theory of it. The reality of being of giving your focus to opportunities when they pass you by is not a bad thing, again, because you wouldn't have started your business that you have without it. You just need a filter to process it through. And so that's when you want to use the steps that I just shared with you guys. And also the big perspective shift today was about all the things that I just went through with you guys about how to process the idea of saying yes or no. And I know some of this stuff may come across as cliche, but I'm telling you, write down the process that you deal with opportunities. Like I told you, tweak it if you want. It's about how does this personally fit in with where I'm headed. It's about how does it interact with or conflict or distract or detract from my current businesses. And then it's what is the SWAT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And then after that, then I'll take it to the stakeholders in my business with me, whether it's my business coach, whether it's my team, whether it's my wife, whether it's my business partner, whatever. And then I'm going to go to them and share the journey of all the information that I've completed on this potential opportunity. And then talk about how we would tactically put that in play. And once you can develop something like that, now you can start to really not be scared of opportunities, because there was a time where I told myself that it was a bad thing that I had shiny object syndrome, and then I would just ignore all kinds of things, and some of those opportunities we should have took advantage of. And then also remember, guys, I want to reiterate this in summary here, is that one of the reasons that shiny object syndrome is so bad is when you're tied to the revenue generating activities, your business. And so that when you spend your time on anything new or even thinking about it, you're taking away from making money in your business. So one of the prizes, one of the spoils of being able to get out of the day-to-day of your business is that you can take advantage of looking at more opportunities. And then you put them through a filtering process, and you don't need to be scared that you'll just jump on something out of emotion. And then what'll happen is the things that you're working on, like I said also in the beginning, is when you put things through the filter of how will they benefit me and will they not conflict with my current business, well, guess what? The only things that benefit you personally are all going to be somewhat closely related, even if they're in different industries. And if they're not going to detract or conflict with current businesses, there's a chance that they'll actually complement. And so that's what I meant when I told you guys, sometimes when I'm working on things, it's kind of the same thing that I'm doing in multiple businesses at one time. And so I'm kind of getting more bang for my mental buck by working on those types of things. So I hope this stuff helps you guys. I know that it's kind of a high level way of thinking, but I want it at a minimum. Here's the tactical takeaway for everybody who's kind of in the throes of your business, even if you're just getting started or you're a solopreneur. Come up with any process to deal with opportunities, and then write down what you think saying yes to something means and what you think saying no to something means, and put that on your desk and keep it there so that when things come up that are outside of the core business things that you're working on, read that before you decide yes or no, and then look at your filtering process when an opportunity is in front of you, even if it's to try hire someone else or try a new marketing campaign or do something a little different. And I think just having that piece of paper sitting next to you alone will help you guys focus a little more. Now, here's what's important about all that. Now you can pour that focus into investing in yourself. That time and money that would go into these other opportunities all go into to a more focused bucket of things or one thing. Then you'll master that more quickly. And so when you invest in yourself, you can build something that creates a foundation. And then you can, and if it's a business, then you can invest in marketing to create deal flow. And then eventually you can invest in a team and in people, invest in people to take advantage of the deal flow that you can create in the foundation of the business that you have. And so that will serve you, again, in the CEO Nation's general purpose is to help you guys build a business that works for you, so you don't have to work for it, and build something that serves you so that you can, not be involved in the day-to-day, and you can provide more value to the world, generate more profit for the company, and being less involved in that process. And I think those are the things, the time and money freedom and the successful business that's helping clients and employees. I mean, that's why, guys, I think that's why all of us got into businesses for the most part. And so I hope today helps. I don't see any questions coming through. I'm double checking. Oh, wait, maybe I got something here. Hold on one second. So Samir said, what do you suggest for someone that gets distracted with different processes within the business and not being able to focus on getting the priorities done or in the order they should be done, and then eventually forgetting or losing momentum on them? Yeah. So Samir, it's very similar to what I said before. It's just in a more micro level. And so here's what I mean by that. And so when something comes along, so ask yourself, what am I trying to produce today? That might be, because I know you're in real estate, that might be, I'm trying to get this project done. And then the distraction comes across as a new deal that you can work on. And when you have a system to process that through, and the very first question is, does this line up with what I'm trying to get done right now? So when I said, does this line up with me personally, that's at a very high level. But within the business, it's keeping your priorities straight. And so if your priority of getting your current projects done is lower than working on a new project because you have idle dollars that you want to put at play, maybe that is the case. But my point is when something comes along, you ask yourself, is this getting me closer to the thing that I need to get, the main things I need to get done right now? And the second question is this distracting from other things that I need to get done? And so even if it's not in different businesses within your current business, when, marketing activity comes up and you really should be doing sales because you got leads you just haven't closed yet, right? And you want to go work on something new and shiny, like update the content in your website. It's why realtors end up going out and cleaning their cars all the time, because it's more fun to go wash your car and drive around in a nice new car than it is to sit there and make cold calls to try to find somebody to actually ride in the car with you. The better problem would be to have to scramble to wash your car because you just booked some appointments for someone that needs to ride around with you. So, in your business, if you're constantly switching from one task to another, one thing that can help is just to get really clear on what you need to do to make money. Write them down. And so I think you've had our KPI training, but I'm pretty sure you did. And so tracking everything you do and getting clear about putting those things together and realizing what the leading activities are that drive to the lagging results. And so when you understand that cadence, that flow, and something comes up, you can ask yourself, where am I at in my business process right now? And don't let other things distract you from whatever's most important right now. And so if you don't have anything out there in the field, you got to plant. But if you've already been planting and it's time to just water and wait, you don't want to go digging the ground up and planting more seeds, because you'll mess up the ones you already planted, right? So you gotta understand what season you're in within your business, what deal flow you're in, what process steps of the process you're in. And every day we like to create systems that help us reshuffle the deck. Like, from a day-to-day basis, what's the highest priority right now to move things forward. So Samir, I don't know if that helps. Hopefully it does. So if you have a standard operating procedure and KPIs, there isn't anything that should get forgotten where you'll lose momentum. Just get that stuff documented and follow it. And we'll all get distracted from time to time. But if we do, just circle back, to the activities and what order and what's next, what's most important. And so one thing that may help, at a minimum, I don't know if you're doing this, but at a minimum, having a weekly meeting at the same day and same time with a cadence of an agenda where you go through everything that you were supposed to get done last week. And then you honestly evaluate where you are and what happened. And then you make tweaks and adjustments based on your production, how close you were to what you wanted to do, whether it's good, better, or worse, it's exactly what you were hoping for, whatever. And then you plan the next week out. And that plan that you make for the week, those need to be tangible things that can be put into your calendar. Just like you'd book a doctor's appointment or a lunch with a friend, book marketing activities, book sales calls, book administration, book finance and bookkeeping, whatever you have to do, book those things, time block them on your calendar, and make sure you follow your calendar and get those things done. And then go back and have a weekly meeting with yourself again and learn from what you thought you were going to do and what you really did, and then adjust and plan next week and break it down into actionable items and block those as appointments on your calendar, and then follow your calendar. And then to take it even a step further, if you can look at your pipeline every day, whether that's with active deals or projects or sales or whatever your business may be. One thing that we do in our business currently is have a 9 a.m. huddle every morning where we just touch base on what happened the day before. It's less than 30 minutes for an entire team of, hey, what leads came in, what got qualified. And this is, and actually I'm talking about our wholesaling, our core business right now. And every morning at 9, we just look at yesterday's stats. How many offers got made, how many contracts got signed, how many deals closed, how much revenue came in, what marketing went out. And it literally takes minutes per position to go through, but we reset every day, and our stuff is set up in a way that we kind of see what's going on inside of those activities. It's not just the short numbers, it's actually what's happening. And we kind of reset the deck, and we make sure that everybody's on top of their best priorities and most important things every day. So a daily huddle might be something else you can try, Samir. All right, guys. I don't see any other questions right now. Sorry for the technical difficulties again today. And remember, the link is in the chat there, but it's the ceonation.com/links. You can access the podcast there, KPI guide, my strategy link. You can connect with the Facebook group. So there's quite a few ways to connect with us there. So it's the ceonation.com/links with an S. Like I said, if you're not on Clubhouse and you have an iPhone and you want to be, DM me on Messenger and Facebook would probably be the best way to do it. I've got some invites I can share. And I think that's about it for housekeeping today. Appreciate you guys. I'm always looking for more topics that we can cover on these weekly. So don't be shy connecting with me and letting me know if there's some specific topics that you think we should put on the agenda. And didn't quite get there this week with planning for our next live event, but it's starting to get on the books. So that's exciting. So hopefully I'll be able to let you guys know soon when that first live event of the year is going to be. And as I'm looking at all the snow in Indiana, it's not going to be, until this is gone. But especially you guys that are going to be traveling in from warm places, I can't get you to come here until this is gone. So I doubt it's going to be in March, probably more late April-ish, but I'm excited about it. I'll let you guys know. I'll be looking for DMs from folks. I hope today was helpful. And I will talk to everybody. Oh, hold on. I got one more Q&A. Last second. I missed it a minute ago. What do you suggest for someone that gets distracted? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Samir, you put it in two places. All right. Cool, guys. I appreciate everybody. And we'll be back next Monday, 3:30 Eastern. And hopefully won't have the same technical difficulties that I had personally today. And I will talk to everyone soon. Take care.